He did a lovely little display for us in the mini arena earlier on today. You notice I'm wearing chest waders? Yes, madam, it is flipping hot in here. And when you see the big thick jacket I'm going to be wearing in a minute, topped off with a balaclava helmet for the next 20 minutes, you'll realise I'm completely mental. But in the winter time, you need to be dressed up, literally, for the cold. I was out in the temperature last year, went down to -14. I'm not joking, that is perishing cold. You need to know how to wrap up. You also need to know marshcraft. The tide comes in twice a day, and out there on the estuary, if you get the tides wrong, you can get well and truly drowned. You don't only get a second chance at that, so you need to know about the tides. So when I set myself up in a hide, a bit like this, you need to be camouflaged, you need to be invisible, but I don't set my hide up on top of the marsh, I set this hide up on the edge of a deep gutter. Some of these gutters, they don't look like this field we're in today. It's a salt marsh. And most of these gutters are 30 yards across, and they're usually about 12 foot deep. So me and young Jake, we're going to be spending several hours waiting for day to break in the early hours of the morning. He's got to learn to be controlled and steady in a hide like that. This is a side-to-side 3-inch Magnum, a typical old-fashioned type of wildfowler's gun we're using today. Now, modern-day shooters, a lot of them, you'll be using steel shot or non-toxic shot, which is what you have to do. You're not allowed to use lead shot for shooting ducks and geese anymore. Those days have gone. So we've got to use a different type of alternatives to lead. Steel is the cheapest. Do not fire steel through your grandpappy's old side-to-side. It would literally be nowhere near strong enough to take the high-pressure cartridges. Say this is a 3-inch Magnum. You need to know these things because it's important. If I was using a 2.5-inch chambered gun and put a 3-inch cartridge in, I could easily burst the barrels. You don't want to risk it. So first thing you do when you're out wildfowling, this is 2 foot of slimy, oozy mud, folks. It is a pretty evil environment. Most of you have never even been close to these places, but it's a vast haunt of wildfowl. Thousands of ducks, geese and wading birds. They live off the organisms in the mud. Now, first thing you do is make sure there's no mud stuck in your barrels. If you're stupid enough to fire a shot with the mud in the muzzle of your gun, you just blow the end of your gun right off. So then, the way to close a gun, and I'll show you youngsters, this is the proper way to close a shotgun. Stock up to the barrels. Don't ever let me see you slam a gun shut in that position, like most of you clay pigeon shooters do. It's a bad habit. Remember, it's a mechanical device. Eventually, all mechanical devices will, at some stage, fail. I guarantee it. You older generation, what's happened to the first motor car you ever bought? I bet you haven't got it anymore, have you? No, because it broke. Same things with a gun, unless it's serviced regularly by a proper gunsmith, it will fail, and you do not want it failing in that position there. So that's a lesson of gun safety there. The golden rule with handling guns is you do not point guns towards other people. I learned all this when I was 11 years old, in actual fact. Okay, enough of all this, let's check the barrels. We've got the cartridge, this is a blank cartridge. We're going to fire a shot just for the benefit of young Jake. Now when the shot leaves the muzzle of the gun, it's travelling faster than the speed of sound. It's pretty loud, it actually breaks the sound barrier, that's what makes it really loud. So then, Jake, come over here, son, sit. The speed of sound travels pretty slow up here, doesn't it? Jake. He says, on board with this already, Dad. Jake, sit, you beggar. Good lad. Right, when you're doing this, you've got to ease yourself into this very gently. We need this eye contact so Jake knows exactly what I'm about to do. Don't watch me, watch him. And I think he should be fine with this. Are you ready? Stay there. He says, I have to, Dad, because I'm tied to the ground with a piece of string. Good boy, stay there. Are you ready? There you go. He didn't even flinch, not even a blink. This is just really good training, first of all. And so we're actually getting him used to the sound of the gun. Right, I'm going to empty the gun just for a moment. We'll be needing that one in just a minute. That is now empty and safe. As I say, I've walked a long way carrying all this clobber. I've got a rucksack. It weighs in at 60 pounds in weight. That's all the stuff I'm going to need. Salt water on these estuaries. You've got to even carry water for your dog. We've got your binoculars, cartridges, all this sort of stuff adds up a lot of weight. So then, we got the decoys, and this is the most important thing, because without the decoys, you're just a pot hunter looking for luck. Well, there's a lot of things you can do to increase your chances. And if you learn to use and set the decoys up properly, and give the right calls at the right time, you can actually turn these birds that are passing and bring them straight to you. It is an amazing skill to learn. So the Canada goose, you need to learn that language, you need to learn the pinkfoot calls, and indeed the mallard calls, and the widgeon and all that stuff, and we'll show you that in just a minute. Now, because it really is a freezing cold day today, you need to be wrapped up. Now, I've got one of these all-American jackets, actually. These are absolutely brilliant. It's Rivers West stuff. Apparently it's a new breed of clothing coming in, and they are absolutely brilliant, I kid you not, for cold weather. Today, I think I'm going to melt. Now, because it's a freezing cold day, and you are going to spend many hours out here in sub-zero temperatures, you do lose a lot of heat from your head. So you've got to have a balaclava helmet as well to top that off there. Okay, so now we're pretty well ready, and I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes prancing around the ring like this. It's true, it's going to be hot, Jake, isn't it? Now, Jake, what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can simulate a shot at the duck, or a shot at the geese, for example, and you have to imagine, if I drop my bird in the water, which is the main channel, the tide's filling fast now, the estuary is filling right up, and if the bird lands in the water, it doesn't just stay there, it's being dragged by the tide very quickly. So you've got to send the dog pretty sharpish. Not until he's told, and by the time he swims out to where that duck hit the water dead, because all dead birds float, most people should know that, this is not difficult for any dog, they love it. All he's doing is just swimming until he finds the bird, and then he's holding it in his mouth while he swims back. It's just me, me gun, and me dog. We just spent 2.5, 3 years training for this first occasion out wildfowling. He's done all his basic training, and all we want now is to hope we can get the chance of getting a bird within range. Good boy, stay there. So there's no point loading the gun unless it's light enough to see, and I'm talking about that point of daybreak, that point where, not talking about the sunlight, I'm talking about when it's just started to get light. So Jake here, he's having a lovely time, he's rolling around and fooling around. He's all brand new to this, so he's got to get used to it. Listen now, you can hear the tide creeping up, it's swirling and gurgling, and all the bubbles, you can hear that as the gutters start to fill. And out there you can hear the widgeon calling. And behind me now, the mallard, loads of mallard coming down the main channel. No, they're just too far out of range. Remember, the range of the gun is 35 yards. That's much closer than from the width of this ring. You've got to get them about half the distance of this ring. That's the proper range for a shotgun. More mallards now. You can hear the birds flying high overhead against the stars. And all the time the tide inches up. Very soon the sun comes up in the east. If I was in Scotland, you'd be having the pink-foot geese coming over the mountains. I love that sound. I can hear that a full mile away. It's the most musical, magical sound. They come all the way from Iceland for a bit of wildfowling, and the least you can do is to drive up to Scotland to see if you can shoot one or two.